All right, let's see if we get sound now. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Ay, 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 ay. Testing, testing. Oh, no. Okay, so I think we got sound. All right. Yay. All right. Woohoo. Sound. Don't ask me what I did, but we've got sound. First time using this platform, brand new platform. We're using StreamYard. So, all right, excellent. All right, well, let me just quickly go over what you're looking at here. I think first thing I got to talk to you a little bit about, of course, are the risks involved in trading. There is risk involved in trading. There are no guarantees in the market. We work in a realm of probability. But, you know, like I always say, without that risk, there is no opportunity. So the two really go hand in hand. And that definitely applies not only to the market, but most everything we do in life. All right, so a little bit on the layout here. I'm using a charting platform called NinjaTrader. All right, if you're using another platform, doesn't matter. You can still follow along with us. And what we're going to have you do is type in the symbols you want me to look at, make them stocks if you don't mind, or ETFs. And we're going to take a look at those, type them in caps. And the chart on the left on my layout here is a short-term 60-minute chart. The chart in the center is a daily chart. And this gives us the intermediate trend. And then the chart on the far right is actually our weekly chart for our long-term trend. So that's kind of the way we analyze markets. So we type in one particular stock or ETF or futures, whatever, and it gives us the different time frames on the same stock. That way we take a look at the short, intermediate, and long, and it's great to help us time the entry better. This is called multiple time frame analysis. I did an entire course on this. If you are interested in learning about it, again, just go to our website to check it out. All right, the thing you see at the top with all the nice colors up here, this is our scanner, and we're using our proprietary scans, which you can also purchase from us in the Market Analyzer. It's also available in TradeStation and multi-charts. All right, so let's jump in. All right, start typing in your stocks, okay? And we'll start taking a look here. First one is from Al. Let's take a look at that one. One of the things as I type these in and talk to you a little bit is you're probably going to pick up some stocks today that may be good for you. And so in a way, this becomes a stock picking service as well. Not only do we analyze your stocks and give you an opinion based on things like Elliott wave, maybe fib target zones, we also use our proprietary software, which you see on the charts right now. And so that's kind of important because that gives us the tools that we need to trade the markets. All right, so this one is for Al. Al, how are you doing today? All right, it's NNOX, NNOX. So Al's probably looking for a long trade here. As Al says, he's a bottom feeder. All right, so we'll call you a flounder, right? Flounder's feet on the bottom there, Al. All right, so big move down, all right? And here's where it's been going sideways. So, okay, that is a bottom feeding stock technically. Now, we also know if we look at the long-term time frame, we actually still have an active short trade if you were trading this time frame, because using these pyramids, you see these triangles on the chart? They're called the ARP pyramids. And as long as prices stay below the flat part of the triangle, all right, the position is still active. And in this case, the pyramids are pointing down. So this is a short trade. Okay, so right away, if you go long on this, Al, you're going against the long-term chart, all right? Okay, you have bearish momentum. This is called the optimum wave locator. We use it for Elliott wave, but we also use it for momentum. So on the long-term chart, there's no long position. Okay, the momentum is negative, and all our proprietary software, like the ART software, is indicating a short position. Now let's take a look at the daily chart in the center here. All right, so we had a short position on, it's been stopped out. I mean, here you can see here, it's gotten above the bearish one, but now we have a bullish one. All right, so this one is more bullish than the weekly chart. We still have a little bit of bearish momentum, but boy, it's getting close to going green, isn't it? All right, let's take a look at the 60-minute chart. Momentum is bullish across the board. So this is technically bullish at this particular point. So what do you do with this? Well, first of all, where do we think this is going? So obviously, it's bearish on the long term. Best we can hope for at this point would be possibly a fib correction, right? So let's draw in what may be the target zone for this. So if we use a fib retracement level, if this is the bottom of a 3 or a major move to the downside, then a lot of times we get a rebound, and that rebound ends in between these blue lines called a fib retracement level. So our target starts at 29.50 to 43. So it's very important to get in as early as possible on this, because otherwise we won't have the risk to reward in favor that we need to make this trade. So kudos to you, Al, for finding this one. The only thing I would wait to do on this one here is wait for that to go green, okay? So I'm going to take my pen here and put this down as one to put on the watch list. It's not quite ready yet, but we'll call it a watch list candidate. So let's keep an eye on that one, and thank you for sharing that. If you're in it already, depending if anybody is in this, all right, then you have to determine what your intentions are. Are you a long-term trader over here or a short-term? If you're short-term, you'd be out of the market. If you're long-term, your stop would be right in this level here. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's keep going here. Boy, a lot of coming in here. So give me a second when we get oriented here. All right, so I think, John, you're the next one with DE. Let's see what we got cooking on DE here. And feel free to tell me if you're in the position. That also helps, or thinking about it. And if you're in it, are you long and short? All right, so we've had an extended trend up on this already. And you can see on the weekly chart, it is still moving up. We have bullish momentum. Now, this kind of indicator here is kind of a really neat indicator. This is called a precision trend filter. And it's very simple to use. And what I found out in studying the markets is that with this indicator here, every time it broke above the upper band, markets 75% of the time, that's right, 75% of the time returned and made another high. And when it makes another high, it looks at the momentum again. And if the momentum is not quite what it was, then it turns neutral. So it's neutral now because it's yellow. You see that down here? It's all yellow. So it did what it was supposed to do. It returned and made another high. We have very bearish divergence here. So I'm very, very concerned about thinking about another trade here with this type of divergence. You're getting in late in the trend. Let's look at the daily chart and see if there's any opportunity there. Same type of thing. However, on this particular move up, we don't see quite the divergence here, okay, that we saw here. So this is a wave 3. This is an Elliott wave 3 of some degree. So that's important to note. If you're trading this, your stop should be right under this pyramid here. Let me open that up so you can see that better. And let's go ahead and bring up a data box as well. So your stop should be under this pyramid, and the price bar that created the bottom of that pyramid sits at a low of 368.04. So your stop should be at 368.03. All right, on this. Now, I would not go long here. And the reason for this is, let's take a look at our 60-minute chart over here. We've got red and a red PTF. So it looks like we're going to go down some more before going up. So this is green, but this is red. So this really negates trying for a long trade at this particular point. I wouldn't go short here. We got too much power in the daily still. So I would just hang tight on that. So no trade on DE. All right, let's take a look at BGFV. And see how it's cooking on this bad boy. All right, this one's got a little bit more promise to put on a watch list, and I'll tell you why. Let's take first a look at the weekly chart. And notice that we had a big wave 3 up, and we have a wave 4 complete with a pyramid here. Very strong negative momentum, but check this out, a bullish PTF. So there's a 75% probability that this is just a correction in an ongoing trend, and according to the PTF and the Elliott wave, we'll make another high, because there are 5 waves in an Elliott wave. So this would be 3, 4 is always the correction, and then 5 is the end of the trend, making a new high on a bullish run. So very interesting. Now, if you were trading this before, the pyramids did a great job of trailing the stops and getting you out, all right, at this particular point. But now we can consider possibly a long trade. So let's take a look here. All right, so we have a bullish entry established by this pyramid, green, green, green. So that's a bullish entry saying okay on the daily chart. Let's go here. We've got a little pullback underway. We still have a green PTF. So here's how I would play this. If I'm looking to get in early, right away, I know I'm going against the dynamics on the long-term trend. It's you're always going to have a turnaround in the short-term markets on the short-term time frames before you get it on the long-term. So that's not unusual at a bottom. But the question is the 60-minute chart. This has red momentum. Do not go long until that momentum goes green. Then you have to check back with the daily chart and make sure this is still green. This will probably remain green as well. You can go long or short on the PTF, which is this indicator, when it corresponds to the right color of the direction you're going, or it's yellow. So in other words, you're not going to go long if the PTF is red, right? But you can go long if it's green or yellow. Likewise, opposite for a short position. So I'm liking this. I think it's a little early to pull the trigger. So I put this one on a watch list. It's not a bad one. And, you know, this is a great one if you want to get in early. But let's just give it a little more time to season. Okay. So, John, thank you for sharing those. All right. Let's go to Stuart. Stuart likes PayPal. So let's take a look at that one. PYPL. All right, so here's one we looked at last week. We were looking at a bottom here, so we drew our fibs in, as you can certainly see on the daily chart, which is the chart in the center. And on that chart there, you can see that the market now is moving in that direction. So here's what I would do on this one. Very strong downtrend on the weekly chart. So any move to the upside is going to be just a correction, and then it's going to head back down. So in terms of Elliott wave, 3, maybe going into a 4 and 5. Here's the problem with this one that increases the risk. This is so strong. You could get a minor correction, no major wave 4, and then fall apart here. So what we did right on this one here is we used this point and this point for the retracement. So this is a pretty good place we think the market will go during even a minor correction at this point. So I'm liking it, but again, at this point, we have a red owl on the left-hand side. Now, if you went in a couple days ago when this was green, that's fine. Put your stop at the bottom, okay? Don't use the pyramid when you're going in early. Put it at the very bottom. A little thing on stops that I always like to say, whenever you set your stop, if you're getting in early on the market, put it at the bottom of where you think the bottom is. And the reason you want to do that is you do not want to get stopped out on volatility. And when you're getting in early, there's usually volatility after the first move up. So you got to be really careful not to keep your stops too close. If you put it at the bottom, the only way you're going to get stopped out is if your analysis of the bottom is wrong. And that's how I want to get stopped out. I want to get stopped out when my analysis is wrong. I don't want to get stopped out on just normal market volatility. So not bad. If you're going to take this, if you get a green on the 60-minute, I would lower the trade size in half because you're going against such a strong weekly chart. So you got to be careful. If we hit the bottom on this, it'll be great. If you don't, you're going to get stopped out pretty quick. All right, let's take a look at SQ. Stuart, this one's for you as well. All right, and then we'll move on to some others. Love this. Keep them coming, okay, guys? All right, so let's see what we got. SQ, very similar situation. No, it's almost like the one we just looked at, right? So strong to the downside, negative, positive, pyramid, positive, negative owl. So again, wait until the owl on the 60 goes green, pull the trigger. And on this one here, you see you had a fairly big pullback. Do not use the pyramid on this either. Let's take a look really quick at where the target is. You're almost at the target right now. So your risk to reward is terrible on this trade. So I would not even take it, even if I had an entry right now. Because if you put your stop at the bottom here, all right, there's your entry. And look, okay, it would have to get way up here for you to have a 2-to-1 risk to reward in your favor. So that's a no-go, Stuart, okay? All right, let's take a look out for you at SGFY. All right, so right away, okay, we got a red PTF on the weekly chart. So the downtrend is not over from a long-term stance. Not a lot of history on this, okay, but enough for us to make an analysis. So a big move down. We've had a retracement. Here's the problem. I think it's too late to get in because if you even drew the retracement here, you're almost near the target zone. Now, if this was not red and this wasn't huge down here, I would say maybe we're not going into a retracement. But with this being red, any bounce up is just a retracement. So 3, 4, 5, 3, and we're inside the weekly chart here, 4, 5. So I basically say no trade on this. Now, here's where the trade could be. When you get into the target zone, and we're there basically right now, wait for everything to turn red here and then short it, okay? That's kind of the way I would do that. You'll probably get a green owl over here for 3 or 4 histogram bars. So you got time before you can go short. But that's the way I would play that. All right, let's keep going here. As Gene says, give us a like and thumbs up. It improves our ratings, all over the place. All right, so Key, how are you? Let's take a look at LOGI. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So pretty much a downtrend you can see is not, it's getting better, but it's still a downtrend. And we have an active pyramid here, but we do have things turning around here and things are bearish here. So we have confliction between the 60 and the daily chart. No trade. As soon as these things are out of alignment, no trade. So it's still heading down. Now, when you get to a bottom and things get aligned to the upside again, that means bullish momentum, no more red PTFs, then we'll take a look at that again. So keep an eye on that one, and we'll come back to that one if it improves, okay? All right, let's take a look at one of the cryptos here, GBTC. David, this is for you. You're my crypto man. All right, now, there is a lot of opinions on the cryptos, and everybody has an opinion. So what I think is best to do in a situation is turn off the news and look at the charts. The charts represent the truth of what's out there in information. Currently, GBTC is rebounding. Some people, if you listen to them, think cryptos are a fraud. Some people, if you listen to them, think they're the greatest thing since apple pie. Okay. Now, who's right? I don't know. Okay. But I can tell you what the charts are telling me, and that's all I can do. And the charts are telling me right now that we had an early entry down in this area here, and you have it again. This is green. We've got a little bit of red, so we're pulling back, but that could turn green again. This is green, which is a big deal. So we may have a big bottom in here. We have a pyramid here. Okay, so what do? If you're in it, keep your stop below this bottom here where the pyramids are. If you're thinking about going in it, wait until this turns green and then come back to the daily chart. Make sure this is green. I don't mind getting in a little bit when this is red, especially after we hit the retracement area down here. But realize that this would be better if it was green. And if it continues up here, it should turn green. So a little bit more risky when it's red like that. So you may want to cut your trade size down a teeny bit. But as long as you're using risk control, you're in good shape. So I like this for a long position. If you're in it, fine. You know, put your stop right down here at a low of $24.02, $24.02. If you're not in it yet, wait for the owl, which is red on the 60-minute, to turn green. Okay. So I'm bullish on this with caveats. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. And David, that one is for you. All right. Let's see. John, how are you? Okay. Let's take a look at IRM. IRM. Give that a second to load on all time frames. And there we go. All right. So what do we got cooking on this bad boy? All right. If we go to the weekly chart, notice how messy this was. Oh boy. You definitely don't want to get stuck in that trading this time frame. You'd have to go to a lower time frame. But we did break out on that. So that's pretty good. So we're definitely in favor for a long trade. My only issue here with this is, you know, we had this here, but now we don't have it. It's neutral. We do have bearish divergence, so we have to be careful. Another thing, using the ART software, and ART stands for Applied Reality Trading, and that's a tool that we created at TradersCoach.com that puts these pyramids on the chart. When we have more than 4 of those, all right, you're getting in late on the entry. Instead, we're looking for more of a trend exhaustion after 4. So we have to be wary about that, especially with bearish divergence. Let's see what the lower time frames say. All right, so the lower time frames are still very bearish. I mean, very bullish, excuse me, very bullish. However, what we have to be careful about here is that this PTF is green, but the high is only here in that green area. So the PTF is saying we're only going above this point here, which is so close to where current prices are. So that really doesn't help us for a target, does it? If we look at the 60-minute chart, yeah, it's bullish here, but we have bearish divergence. So I guess what I'm telling you here is that I think it's going higher according to the reality of what we're looking at here, but it's extended. You're chasing the market here. You may get a little bit more, but it's like playing Russian roulette. I think we're already close in the target zone, especially with a bearish divergence on the 60. So I probably would not take this trade. Now, what probably will happen is we probably will correct down into the 30s at some point, and then that is going to be a good opportunity to get in for a long trade. Okay, just saying. Maybe even a short trade down into the 30s, but it's too early to do that. All right, so John, let's take a look at GLW and see how that one looks for you. Okay, So kind of interesting on this one. We've got a green PTF on the weekly chart, but we have a pullback underway in this market. So after this pullback is completed, we should see a move to the upside. And notice we have bearish divergence, bearish pyramid, one forming here. We also now just have a sliver, brand new bearish PTF. So the low here is going to get penetrated. So it's just not done yet. And if this was an Elliott wave, this is 3, 4, 5. So let's take a look here at a couple things. This is kind of be fun here. Let's take a look at the weekly chart and give it and see what kind of retracement level we're looking at. All right, we hit it once. So that's a good sign because you definitely want to hit it. The problem is we have a little bit of a situation here on this one saying it's going to go in, going lower. All right, so what you need to do is wait for this to turn green. You need this to be yellow or green, and you need to be green over here. So wait a little longer, okay? I think you'll have a long trade here. I wouldn't go short. You're too close to the target zone. So I'd put GLW on a watch list, okay? And that's how I play that, okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, we got GLW, Eleanor, we got that. Let's do plug. Boy, I haven't done plug in a long time. PLUG. Give that a second to load on your end there. Okay, so nice retracement off a big run up. So that's a good sign because, as you know, I don't like to chase markets. So if I can get in after a pullback. Very extensive move down, but it doesn't look like it went a little bit further than they normally do. But it did not go to this red line. So why is that red line important? Because if that's an Elliott wave 1, then that's a 2, that's a 3. 15% of the time, wave 4s get super extended down in here. 70% of the time, they're here. 15% of the time, they're shallow. Got an incredible PTF up there. So usually when you get a big downdraft like this, wave 5 is not very high. Just saying, that's usually what we see. However, with this here like this, notice this is the new high here. So this really is the area that the PTF is saying the next high is going to go, right here. Because again, it breached the upper line here. So that resets it from here to here. So that's your target. All right, you got red here, green here. This is okay, a little extended on this little bit move up. It's not one of my favorites because of the risk to reward now is kind of a little bit to the downside. And for fun, if we drew the fib extensions in, you're going to probably see them lower than the PTF would have been up here. So not one of my favorites, okay? It's just, I think you can find something better at this point. All right, White Lion, welcome back, Grayson. How are you? BKE, let's see what we got cooking over here. All right, so a little check on this bad boy here. All right, so what do we got cooking? Well, we have an active pyramid on the weekly. We got bearish momentum. Do you see how easy it is when you have the right tools? Really makes a huge difference. All right, we have move to the downside, bearish here, bearish here, bearish here. All right, so definitely don't take a long trade, whatever you do. Now, the question is where is it going? Well, you know, we can use the weekly chart to just get an idea of the retracement level. We'll play devil's advocate and put it here. You're already in the target zone, so you don't want to go short. All right, the PTFs aren't really signaling any short position that would make sense in terms of risk to reward. So you got to wait for this to end before going long. So you need green here, you need yellow or green here, you need green here and yellow or green here. Okay, so that's kind of what you got to do before you even consider a long trade on this. Okay, all right, NSA. Let's take a look at NSA. Hopefully they're not spying on us. Okay, so here is NSA. All right, so it's coming off a nice move to the top. we've had our excess of 4 pyramids. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would have been stopped out on this one. So the pyramids on the weekly chart nailed this. First entry here. Okay, as soon as this goes green, you could have entered here, trailed your stops out here. Nice little profit. Looks like you would have almost doubled your money on that in a fairly short period of time for a long-term trade. So what do you do now? All right, so is it in a major correction right now, or is this just a minor pullback and it's going to make a high? That's always the million-dollar question when we're at these levels. So we took out that level. We got this big level here. Let's kind of take a look and see where that fib retracement level would be. And you can draw these on the daily chart too, but I just choose the weekly chart because they're easier to find the points. Less noise on the weekly chart. All right, so it has not reached the high probability target zone, which is in between the blue lines. So this is our target for the correction. So this is a 3, this would be a 4. This has to go red for this to be a major 4. It has not done so, but it's really knocking on heaven's door right here. All right, this could remain green during the entire correction because it will be justified on wave 5. All right, so I think a little bit, if you're going to make another high here, might be the last gasp before the correction. But the problem is it also could already be in the correction. So this could be an A. We could be moving up to a B and then a C, right? So you got to be careful here. So I probably am looking at this. I probably would not go long on this yet. I would wait until the big correction completes and then go long, even if I have to wait for one more minor high. Now, if this thing sells off from now and all this stuff starts to turn red, or at least yellow, okay, we need red here, and this thing goes red here, then I would look at the risk to reward to the target zone and see if you can make a short trade, because you're going to go higher according to the 60-minute chart, the PTF. All right, so you're going to go higher. The question is, I don't know if you're going to break over the top of that. Okay, so that's what you got to wait and see. All right, good one to look at. Great. All right, let's keep going on here. All right, SIG short, SIG short, and Grayson, this is for you again. All right, question is, are you short already? Boy, look at that big move up with all the pyramids. So if you're short on this, the next major question is the target. And if you're considering a short rather, you got to look at the target for that as well. So, because that's where you get your risk to reward. So let's just take a look at here. You know, we have a risk to reward calculator that does that for you. So you reach the target zone. You have a 60-minute chart now where the PTF just flipped from green to red. So it's going down still. We have on the daily chart a green owl, but we have a red pyramid still active, but you've had 4 of them. So what's this going to do? Well, it looks like it's going to teeter in the target zone a little longer. So here's what I would do. You're in the target. You have a green one. So this is a 3. This is a 4. There's our red owl there. And then you'll have a 5. So new highs are coming. The question is about timing. And this is where multiple time frame analysis really earns its medal, so to speak. So this is green, good, but this is not good. Bearish pyramids. Bearish, bearish. Do not go long yet. We need to wait until this thing settles down and the shorter time frames are more bullish, okay? So that's SIG. Let's take a look at SYNA. Okay, so SYNA. Let's take a look at that. All right. Weekly chart. When you see a move like this, look how huge that is. Hyperbolic. Wave 3. Owl notes it. We note it. No question about it. Now, gotta love wave 3s. Pyramids traveled right on up. Now, it's very close to having the owl go red. It went briefly red, but not enough price bars to warrant a major wave 4. This is green. So 3, 4, 5. So during the entire 4, this could remain green. So don't get fooled by that. It's just saying that the trend is not over. So where is this possibly going? Because it looks like it's in a correction. Let's take a look. Let's draw. I just want to make sure I get the right points on this. Yep, we can start right at the bottom of there. So when I draw fib retracements, I always anchor them on 2. Whoops, wrong device. 2 and 3. All right, so we're knocking on the door for the correction right there. All right, so unfortunately, there's not a lot of room for a short trade because the risk to reward, you're already in the target zone. It's not over the correction yet because you have red, 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 and red. All right, now if you wanted to go in a little earlier, early entry, this might have been better. But right now, let it come down some more and then maybe look for a long trade after the short-term time frames move over, okay? So kind of a watch list on that one. All right, let's see what else here. Oh, wow, cool. All right, good. All right, MOS, MOS. So how is this working on this new platform? You like it? Kind of cool. All right, so Al, definitely in a wave 3 of some form, okay? We've come down pretty hard already. So we're moving up. We have more highs coming. We have an extended trend on the daily too. So again, long is right. You're going in the right direction of the market. You know, want what the market wants. Problem is, all right, it's extended now. It's gone up too far for a trade to the long side, I think. I think you're going to have to wait for the correction. So when this thing ends, I would look at that particular point for a pullback. My situation is I just don't like to chase markets. Some people would go ahead and, you know, take the trade. But, you know, even the PTF here is only showing a high maybe around 70. So that kind of makes it a little bit, not, you know, we're at 67.5. I think you can find trades with better risk to reward. Okay. Wait for the correction on that. All right. SL Stewart again. How you doing? TVA. Okay, so here we go. TVA here. Let's see what that's doing here. All right, obviously bullish on the shorter time frames. You know, sometimes, all right, if you get a swing like this, you could even trade it on the 60-minute. I mean, here's your entry here. You'd have to wait for this to turn green. So actually, it would have been a late entry there. So it's still a little bearish here. We're taking out the pyramids here. Kind of a messy market. You know, you'd have to be very careful on your stop loss placement here because it kind of spikes. So, you know, here's a great example of what I'm talking about. Let's just say you thought this was a bottom here. See how keeping your stop at the very bottom allows you not to get stopped out during volatility. Now, this is obviously more messy. You certainly don't want your cash stuck in this type of volatility for that long. But the idea is sometimes the volatility does not last that long, but it is like this. So you got to make sure you keep that stop at the bottom. I see really at this particular point, Stuart, a situation where it's not the best trade I've ever seen. And also, too, I'm a little concerned on the fact that we may have a 3, 4, 5. So this may result, it may go up a little bit because we're bullish here and bullish here. But it looks like eventually it may head back down. So I would say no trade on TEVA. Okay. Not this time. All right. Let's take a look here. All right. You're in MOS already, Al. Okay. Oh, Frank, how are you? All right. MS Microsoft, MSFT. Okay, you're short at 310. All right, so, all right, looks like we had a little bit of a retracement level here. You're short at 310, so we're at what, 306.54. So here's a situation where it definitely came down, and now things are changing a little bit. The dynamics are changing. So we're more bullish on the daily chart than we were 2 weeks ago, right? Because it was coming down. Now, let's see about the 60-minute chart. We've got red, yellow, green, yellow, red. So it reached a target zone of some proportion here. So, you know, that's kind of something to be taken into account. But I'm going to take a look at that. I think that was a very short-term target zone we might have been looking at that particular point. So let's dump this and go way, way back. So the deal with this one is it's going to be just like the Dow. So you've got a huge retracement coming up that we certainly could be in now. So if your intentions are more long-term versus short-term, and you're short the market, which you are, you would stay short at this particular point. That's what I would do. Because here's your target, and you haven't reached it yet. And everything is red here. Don't worry about this, because that's going to probably remain green and be justified on wave 5. So if you're trading short, keep that stop there, and I would just keep it for now. Okay. All right. Let's see. Key says he loves this. Key, we love you too. All right. Great. Glad you're here. All right. COST. Well, the fun part about this is that you never know. You'll probably pick up a stock. You know, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping if we look at enough of these, by the end right. So Don's saying thoughts on or long. All right. So I would say if you're long for a long time, I mean, look at the weekly chart. I'm just going to open this up a minute. All right. There's no question that this is a wave 3. A little bit on Elliott wave. When you see a hyperbolic move like that, right away, that should, in your mind, think wave 3, okay, in terms of Elliott wave. The modern approach, which adds indicators that we use to measure momentum, are indicating that's a wave 3 too, and that's what the owl is all about. So that's wave 3. The owl is still green. So we're not in wave 4. We're still moving up. The trends are still going up as well. Let's add a master, if you don't mind me taking a minute to do that. So let's bring that down and then apply that. Okay, and then we'll just go from a daily chart, you got to reset it, to a weekly chart. Stand by. Go back to weekly, and there's your trend lines. So the idea behind this is we still, obviously, these are short-term, middle, and longer-term trend lines. So the TLM draws a whole bunch of trend lines based on key levels or points in the trend. So there it is. You're still moving up. Your stop is here. It's kind of a little late to get in. That's my only problem with this one. Okay, Don. So if you're in it, I don't know if you're in it, but if you are, okay, then you're in good shape, but put your stop there. I don't know how long you've been in it. I don't know if you're trading it from a long-term perspective on the weekly chart or a short-term perspective here. Now, what's interesting is we have a red PTF. Interesting. Okay, so that's going to keep you out of a new long position, which is kind of good because I think we're almost at the end of wave 3 on Costco. But This also is close to going green. So we're going to have to take a look at this next week. So at the very least, we've got a little high here coming, so a little bit more high. So I kind of don't want you to chase the market at this point, and I don't want you to short it. So that's kind of my take on it. Hopefully that helped you. Okay. All right. Let me see. White line, DMTK. DMTK. All right. So went up and went down. All right. So we got a red PTF on the weekly chart. We've got a little bullishness coming in on the lower time frame. So that's kind of interesting. We also have a pyramid on the weekly chart too. All right. So here's my problem with this. With a red PTF here, I'm not going to probably take a long trade based on this. Any trade I would take would have to be considered a corrective type of trade. So if we take a look at this, and a corrective trade could work out pretty well here. So if we draw a fib from here to here, we may get up to 38 bucks before it comes back down. So that should be your target. We have green here, green here. You're going against this owl here. You definitely could take a long trade on that. That's DM. Not one of my favorites, but not a bad one. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. DE, key is saying 160-minute owl turns green. Well, I can't remember. That was so many symbols ago. Let's take a look at DE again. Honestly, I think it's too late. No, I don't think the trade is here. You have bearish divergence. You have a little bit more of a high. I wouldn't take the trade at all. I would wait for it to top out and then see what it looks like. All right, let's take a look at HD, Home Depot. So we've covered Costco. Now we're covering the Home Depot. All right, so let's see what we got on this bad boy. All right, so that's pulling back here. Red owl, green PTF. So the trend is not over to the upside, but we are in a significant pullback on Costco, as you can see. So what do you do with this? Well, we just have a yellow. The PTF just turned yellow on the daily. We got bullish divergence building here, active pyramid here, more lows here. So basically, it's too late to go short and too early to go long. So let's take a look at that one next week, okay? All right, Randy, SPX. Let's take a look at the S&P. Okay, we'll just take a look. Okay, so that works. Okay, so that loads okay. I was going to look at the S&P if that didn't load. But all right, so let's take a look at this. All right, so green PTF and green owl on the weekly. So if we look at this real quick here, there it is. Now, if you went in early, your stop is here. It's a nail biter, isn't it? Okay, we'll see if the stop holds. This is bearish. This is starting to turn bullish here. So now we're in a little bit of an uptrend. So I wouldn't take a long position with this red. And we got to be careful because the point of inflection is going to be halfway between this and this on this leg down. So it's very possible we could get a rise to about 20 bucks. So if you trade a really short time frame, you may want to take that trade. But overall, what's going to happen at the point of inflection? Is it going to come back down or is it going to go up? That's going to be the million-dollar question. So I would hold off until we get to that point of inflection. Take a look at the owl and see if it's turning green. If it turns green and we get a nice pyramid here, then yeah, I would say at this particular point, you probably could take it. We've got a pyramid against us here. We've had a nice, basically what we're asking is this the bottom or not? Okay, that's basically the $1 million question. So let's see what happens on the next point of inflection. You've got plenty of time to analyze this and look at that point of inflection, because when it goes, you're going to talk about a huge retracement. So I'm not worried about waiting for the risk to reward, but I just think at this particular point, wait a little longer on that one. All right. So let's see what we got. All right, let me see. I think we got them all. Did we get them all? I think we did. All right, so listen, give me some feedback. This is the first time we're using a service called StreamYard, and we want to see how it works. You know, is the audio clear? If you're watching us on LinkedIn or Facebook, because it streams to all these things, including YouTube, let us know how you liked it, and that gives us feedback on how the service is, okay? All right, so Gene is saying, who is the winner? That's a good question. I didn't really see that many that were super. Which one did we like the best? Was it DMTK? I can't remember exactly. DMTK. Gene, I kind of rely on you for keeping track of that. So do you remember that one? I think this one, we were hoping for a move into the target zone because we had bullish lower time frames. I'm going to say DMTK is the big one, okay? All right, so we had one cutout in audio, okay? Hopefully it wasn't too long, okay? All right, so great. All right, good. All right, so that's it for today. All right, so I'll put the recording up in YouTube so you can check it out, and then I'll post it on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. And I want to thank everybody for coming. You know, what makes a session like this really good is when we get a lot of people here, because that way we share stocks and so forth and so on. So it's really, really good. All right, so apparently also there's subtitles. That's great to know as well. All right, so that's it. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you back here next Friday. We're going to be doing this every day at 8 a.m., so thank you. Did I miss one in it? I thought I got in OX. I think I got that one. Yep, winner is DMTK. I think that's going to be the winner for today. All right, have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.